The moment the police stepped out of the car, everything changed. He tried to stay calm, tried to act like he was still in control, but I could see it. The fear, the realization, this was real. Albert Patterson, one of the officers, called out. He didn't respond at first, just stood there, frozen. "We need you to come with us," the officer continued. "For what?" he snapped. "This is ridiculous." "For fraud, identity theft, and financial exploitation," the officer said firmly. "And we have a warrant." That word hit him hard. Warrant. There was no talking his way out of this. No manipulation. No lies. Not anymore. He looked at my daughter. Desperate now. "Tell them this is a mistake," he said. "Tell them you don't want this." She didn't move, didn't speak, didn't even blink. "Please," he whispered. Nothing. And in that silence, he understood. It was over. The officer stepped forward, placing him in handcuffs. He didn't resist, didn't fight, because for the first time, he had nothing left. As they led him to the car, he turned one last time. His eyes locked onto mine. That same hatred, that same rage. But now, it was powerless, completely powerless. The car door shut, and just like that, he was gone. The street slowly returned to normal. Neighbors disappeared. Doors closed. Silence returned. But inside that silence, something had changed. My daughter stood there, staring at the empty driveway. "He's really gone," she whispered. I stepped beside her. "Yes," I said, "but this is just the beginning. Because the truth is, an arrest isn't the end. It's the start of consequences." The trial came months later. Every piece of evidence we gathered was presented. The recordings, the forged documents, the financial records, even the supermarket incident, everything. And when it was over, the verdict was clear. Guilty on every count. The sentence? 12 years. No parole for at least 8. My daughter didn't cry, didn't react. She just sat there, quiet, processing everything. Afterward, as we walked out courthouse, she turned to me. "I almost lost you," she said. "But you didn't," I replied. She nodded slowly. "And I won't ever let that happen again." Months passed. Life slowly returned to something normal. The debts were cleared. The stolen money recovered where possible. The land? Still ours. Untouched. Just like it was meant to be. One evening, we sat together watching the sunset. For the first time in a long time, there was peace. Real peace. "You planned all of this," she said suddenly. I smiled slightly. I prepared. I corrected. She looked at me. "You knew he'd slip?" I nodded. "They always do." She was quiet for a moment. Then she asked something I didn't expect. "Did it hurt?" I looked at her. "The slap?" She nodded. I thought about it. The pain, the humiliation, the moment everything changed. Then I shook my head. "Not as much as losing you would have." Her eyes filled with tears. But this time, she didn't look away. And neither did I, because in the end, this wasn't just about revenge. It wasn't even about justice. It was about something far more important. Protecting the people you love, even when they don't realize they need it. And sometimes, the only way to do that is to fight back, quietly, patiently, until the truth finally speaks for itself. The next morning, we walked into the police station with everything. Not just accusations. Evidence. Folders stacked with bank statements. Copies of forged signatures. Audio recordings. Timelines. Every detail documented with precision. I had spent months preparing for this moment. Now it was time to use it. The detective sat across from us, flipping through files one by one. His expression didn't change much at first, but the longer he looked, the more serious it became. "This is extensive," he said finally. "It had to be," I replied. My daughter sat beside me, silent. Her hands were clenched tightly in her lap, but her eyes were focused, strong, different. "This wasn't random," the detective continued. "This was planned, systematic." I nodded. "I know." He picked up one of the documents. 6 credit cards open in your name, 3 loans, forged signatures. He looked up, Do you understand what this means? Yes, my daughter said before I could answer. It means he's going to prison. The room went quiet. The detective studied her carefully. We're looking at multiple felony charges, he said. Identity theft, fraud, financial exploitation, possibly more once we dig deeper. She didn't flinch. Good. I glanced at her. There was no hesitation left in her. No doubt, just clarity. And that's when I knew she was ready. The questioning went on for hours. Every detail mattered. Every timeline had to be clear. Every piece of evidence had to connect. And it did. Perfectly. Because I made sure of it. By the time we stood to leave, the detective closed the file and looked directly at us. We'll be issuing a warrant, he said. Soon. How soon? I asked. Within 24 hours. That was faster than I expected, but not surprising. Not with what we had. As we walked out of the station, I could feel the shift. This wasn't just a plan anymore. It was real, and it was happening. In the car, she finally broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quiet tears falling one after another. I loved him, she whispered. I didn't interrupt. I really believed in him, she continued. And all this time, her voice cracked. I chose him over you. I placed a hand on her shoulder. You chose who you thought he was. I said, not who he actually is. She wiped her eyes, shaking her head. That doesn't make it hurt less. No, I admitted, it doesn't. We sat there for a moment in silence. Then my phone rang. I answered, and everything changed again. He's at the house. It was my sister. My grip tightened on the phone. What do you mean he's there? He showed up 20 minutes ago, she said, refusing to leave. Says he won't go until he talks to her. I looked at my daughter. Her face had gone pale. I'll talk to him, she said quietly. No, I said immediately. I need to, she replied. There was something in her voice. Not fear, not weakness, closure. And I understood. Sometimes you need to face the person who broke you, not to fix things, but to end them. When we pulled up to the house, he was sitting on the front steps. He looked different, worn down, desperate, but I didn't let it fool me. Men like him didn't change. They adapted. He stood as soon as he saw us, rushing toward the car. Please, he said, his voice cracking. Just hear me out. She rolled the window down halfway, keeping the barrier between them. Smart. This is a misunderstanding, he said quickly. I can explain everything. Explain how you stole from my father, she replied coldly. He hesitated, just for a second. Then the excuses started. I did it for us, he said. We needed the money. By destroying him, she snapped. He's old, he shouted. He doesn't understand what he's doing. That was it. The moment the truth slipped out again. Raw, ugly, unfiltered. Get away from me, she said. No. The police are coming for you, she added. He froze, and for the first time, real fear hit him. The room felt different now, like something invisible had finally snapped. You were going to steal from him? She asked, her voice shaking. He tried to recover. I was trying to protect us, he said quickly. We're drowning in debt, and he's sitting on. By forging his name, she cut him off. He didn't answer, because he couldn't. And that silence said everything. I trusted you, she whispered. I did this for us, he snapped, his composure slipping. You were too weak to do what needed to be done. The words hit harder than anything else. You were too weak. I saw something change in her eyes. Not confusion, not pain. Something stronger, something final. Get out. He blinked. What? Get out. This is my house too. No, she said firmly. It's not. It's in my name. Remember? That shut him up. For a second, then the anger came flooding in. This is because of him, he pointed at me. He's turning you against me. No, she said quietly. You did that yourself. The truth hung in the air like a blade. Sharp, unavoidable. You have 5 minutes, she continued. Take what you can carry. Everything else will settle legally. He stared at her, at me, back at her, trying to find control again. but it was gone, completely gone. "This isn't over," he said coldly. I stepped forward slightly. "Yes," I replied. "It is." For a moment, I thought he might explode, but instead, he grabbed his keys and stormed out. The door slammed so hard the walls shook. And then, silence. My daughter stood there, frozen. Then, slowly, she broke. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, tears falling. "I didn't see it. I didn't believe you." I wanted to tell her it was okay, but it wasn't, and she knew it too, because this wasn't just betrayal. This was destruction, carefully planned, executed over months, and we had both been caught in it. But now, it was over, or at least, that's what he thought, because what he didn't know yet was that this wasn't just about exposing him. This was about ending him, legally, completely, and permanently. 3 days later, we sat at the table, surrounded by papers, bank statements, loans, credit cards I never opened, signatures I never signed. The truth was worse than I expected, far worse. "He took everything," she whispered. "Not everything," I said calmly. She looked at me, confused. "We took something too." I added, "Proof." And with that proof, we were about to destroy everything he built, not with anger, not with revenge, but with something far more powerful. The truth. By the time I got home that day, everything was already in motion. I sat in the living room with an ice pack pressed against my cheek, waiting, not for him, for her. The front door opened quietly. He stepped inside like a different man. No loud entrance, no dominance, just silence. Careful, calculated, good. That meant he was scared. "Where is she?" he asked, loosening his tie. "On her way," I replied. He poured himself a drink, down it in one go, then another. His hands trembled slightly, though he tried to hide it. "You think this changes anything?" he muttered. I didn't answer, because I knew something he didn't. He wasn't in control anymore. A few minutes later, the front door burst open. "Dad!" My daughter rushed in, her face pale with panic. Her eyes went straight to my bruised face, then snapped toward him. "What happened?" He didn't hesitate. He stepped forward, voice soft, concerned, convincing. "Your father had an episode," he said gently. He got confused at the store, started yelling. I tried to calm him down, and he hit me, I said. The room froze. Her eyes moved back to me, searching. "Is that true?" she asked him. "It wasn't like that," he replied smoothly. He swung at me first. I just reacted. It was an accident. An accident. I almost laughed, but I didn't, because this was the moment I had prepared for. The moment where truth and lies would collide, and only one would survive. "Look at my face," I said quietly. She did, and for a second, I saw a doubt flicker. But he was ready. He always was. "This is what the doctor warned about," he said softly, placing a hand on her shoulder. The confusion, the aggression. My stomach dropped. "Doctor? What doctor?" I asked. He didn't even look at me. "I took him for an evaluation last week," he continued. "Memory issues. Early signs of cognitive decline." "That's a lie," I said immediately, but it was too late. The seed had already been planted. She looked at me, and I saw it. Fear, not of him, of me. "No, sweetheart," I said, stepping forward. "Listen to me. He's been lying to you, manipulating everything, my accounts, my calls, everything. Dad, please." Her voice cracked. "You're scaring me." Scaring her. That was his plan. Make me look unstable. Make her question me. And then remove me completely. I could see it all now. Every step. Every lie. Every setup. He had been building this moment for months. But he made one mistake. He underestimated me. "You want proof?" I said quietly. He stiffened. Just slightly. But I saw it. And that was enough. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a small device. A recorder. His eyes locked onto it instantly. "Before you decide anything," I said, "pressing the button, you should hear this." His voice filled the room. Clear, cold, calculated. The old man won't agree, but once we get control, it won't matter. My daughter's breath caught. She turned slowly, staring at him. Claire will sign anything. The recording continued. She trusts me. Her face drained of color. Turn that off, he snapped. I didn't. I let it play. Every word, every lie, every plan. Once he's in a facility, we'll have everything. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. She looked at him like she'd never seen him before. Tell me that's not you, she whispered. He opened his mouth, closed it, then tried again. You're taking it out of context. Out of context, she shouted, her voice breaking. That was it. The mask shattered. Completely. And for the first time, she saw him. Not the man she loved. Not the man she trusted. But the man he really was. And he knew it. 8 months earlier, I was living alone in the house my wife and I built together. After she passed, the silence became unbearable. Some days I could manage it. Other days, it felt like the walls were closing in. That's when my daughter suggested I move in with her and her husband. Just until you recover, she said. I should have refused. Every instinct told me to, but I didn't. And that was my first mistake. At the beginning, everything seemed normal. She took care of me. He acted polite, helpful even, but then things started to change. It began with small things. He'd answer my phone when I wasn't around, open my mail by accident, cancel plans I had with friends. At first, I brushed it off. Then I mentioned something I shouldn't have. The land. 40 acres my wife had inherited years ago. Valuable land. Untouched. Worth more than I ever realized. The moment I mentioned it, I saw something shift in his eyes. Interest. Calculation. And from that day on, everything changed. He started inserting himself into my finances, offering to help, suggesting we combine accounts, even hinting at taking control just in case. I refused every time. And every time, he got colder. Then the real manipulation began. Bills I never opened started showing up late. Calls from banks I'd never dealt with. Accounts I didn't recognize. Whenever I asked questions, he had answers ready. Identity theft. Clerical errors. Don't worry, I'll handle it. But something didn't feel right. So I started paying attention. Really paying attention. And one night, I overheard everything. I was walking past his office when I heard him on the phone. The old man won't agree, he said. But once we get control, it won't matter. My heart stopped. Claire will sign anything, he continued. She trusts me. I stood there frozen, listening. The land alone is worth a fortune. And once we move him into a facility, we'll have everything. Everything. My money, my property, my life, gone. That night, I didn't sleep. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, realizing the truth. He wasn't just controlling things. He was planning to erase me, piece by piece. And worst of all, he was using my daughter to do it. I knew I couldn't confront him. She wouldn't believe me. Not yet. So instead, I made a decision. If he wanted a game, I'd play it better. I got a second phone, started recording everything, documenting every lie, every action, every move. I reached out to people I trusted, old friends, people who knew how to handle situations like this. And slowly, carefully, I built a case. I waited, watched, let him think he was winning. Because men like him always make the same mistake. They get comfortable, careless, and eventually they cross a line they can't come back from. That day in the supermarket, when he knocked the groceries from my hands, when he called me worthless, when he raised his hand, I knew this was it, the moment everything would change. So I let it happen. I took the hit, made the call, and set everything in motion. Because sometimes the only way to destroy someone like him is to let the world see exactly who they are. My son-in-law didn't just humiliate me. He made sure everyone saw it. He let the grocery bag slip from his hands on purpose. Cans rolled across the floor. Eggs cracked open, leaking across the tiles. Bread flattened under someone's shoe. Then he leaned in close, his voice low but sharp enough to cut through the noise. Pick it up, now. I looked at the mess, then at him, And for the first time in 8 months, I said one word. No. The silence that followed was louder than anything else in that store. His face changed instantly. The controlled smile disappeared, replaced by something raw and dangerous. Before I could react, his hand came flying toward my face. The impact snapped my head sideways. My glasses hit the ground. A ringing filled my ears. People were watching. Phones were out. And in that exact moment, I smiled, not because it didn't hurt, but because this was exactly what I'd been waiting for. I bent down slowly, picked up my glasses, and slipped them back on, even with a cracked lens. Then I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and made a call. "He's here," I said calmly, "just like I told you." Then I hung up. Behind me, he was still talking, still trying to control the situation, twisted into something else. But it didn't matter anymore, because this time, he wasn't in control. At the checkout counter, the cashier looked terrified. Her hands trembled as she scanned my items. "Are you okay?" she whispered. "I'm fine," I replied. But the truth was, I wasn't fine. Not after 8 months of living under his roof. Not after watching him slowly tighten his grip on my life and my daughters. Outside, the sunlight hit my face as I walked through the automatic doors. And there they were, 3 men, standing beside a black car, waiting. He didn't notice them at first. He was too busy following me, still talking, still threatening. But the moment they stepped forward, everything changed. His voice stopped, his confidence cracked, and for the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. "We need to speak with you," one of them said. He tried to laugh it off, tried to act like nothing was wrong. But when they showed him the video, the slap echoing clearly, his face drained of color. "You set me up," he whispered. I shook my head. "No," I said quietly. "You did this to yourself." As they held him there, I walked to my car, placed the groceries in the trunk, and sat behind the wheel. My hands finally started shaking, not from fear, from relief, because this moment wasn't random. It was planned, every second of it. And it all started 8 months ago when I made the biggest mistake of my life.